Hey, let's go, Free Life Church. Man, another day, another sermon.
Yeah.
No, but it's awesome. I mean,
It makes it sound like I preach a sermon every day, but I mean, I guess.
but
kinda.
for real.
But yeah.
Let's be honest.
Another week,
Another day, another sermon. Another week, another sermon. One of
I
those
don't
two. Well, this week we kind of took a different approach. We combined two messages into one follow-up video. So,
Yes.
Jesus versus religion, round 1 and round 2.
Right.
You know, the whole Mortal Kombat thing. Let's go. It's the best
What's
thing
funny
ever.
is that legitimately happened unintentionally,
But it became a thing.
but it became a thing. And so we actually I even shifted the title
Yeah.
because of what I said
Yeah.
in the first sermon of this little section.
Yeah.
I made a joke because it was the release of Mortal Kombat, which if you're watching this and you're like, what's Mortal Kombat? I mean,
Shame on you.
Fix that.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
And so, I mean, that's cinema brilliance right there, especially the old ones. But yeah, so I unintentionally, I ended up making a joke about it.
Yeah.
And so then it kind of stuck. And so then it was like, okay, we're just
Yeah.
going to roll with that because, these two sermons were always setting together because it was always meant to, we get our kind of first glimpse of Jesus and the religious elite of the day
Yeah.
kind of clashing. And Jesus, quite honestly, is funny because he kind of picks fights with them, and which I think is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of fit well. So then I was like, round 1, round 2, let's just
go.
for it. And so, yeah.
So is there anything in particular that you felt that you needed to kind of follow up with last week's message and this week's message that you kind of wanted to intertwine them together?
Yeah.
Or was there something that you feel like that you really needed to kind of go in depth more about?
I definitely know in round 1, in part 6 of this, we covered a pretty large section. We covered where, Jesus calls Levi the tax collector.
Yes.
And then we have the whole, party scene with Jesus and the tax collectors and the sinners. But then there's this little section as well that where they're talking about fasting, and then Jesus goes into wine skins and all of that. We have that. And so we used it all to kind of paint the picture of what Jesus is coming to do.
Yes.
So we didn't spend a ton of time on, hey, why are they fasting? If John's disciples, meaning John the Baptist, why is his disciples, the people that are following him around, why are they fasting? Hey, Pharisees were fasting, all the religious guys were fasting because that's what we're told to do.
Yeah.
Why are your disciples not fasting? And Jesus answers the question by using the terminology of a wedding.
Yeah.
Well, it's because the groom is here. And I think sometimes that's a little lost on us, and we didn't spend a ton of time on it. I mentioned it just from the wedding standpoint, like nobody goes to a wedding and then says, "No, thank you, I don't want to party with anybody." Like everybody goes into a wedding ready for the reception and the celebration of it. Everybody's all in. Nobody says no, thank you.
Yeah.
Right. And so, or you're just not there, right? Or you're not at the wedding, or you leave immediately after the ceremony and you're not there at all. But if you're there, you're involved, like you're engaged in it. And so we just kind of kept it really simple into that. But really, if you think about the depth of what he's saying, the Messiah or the Son of Man or the chosen Holy One of God that's going to come is talked about. God is talked about as the groom of his people all through the Old Testament. Jeremiah talks about it. Yes. Daniel will mention things like that. It's all through the Old Testament. He's consistently mentioned that way. So Jesus using that language, I mean, that is religiously explosive. I mean, that's why they're having such a hard time with him. And Jesus is consistently like using these little things, using we've kind of mentioned it briefly in both sermons, using the phrase "Son of Man."
Yes.
I mean, that's a bombshell. I mean, Jesus is messing with them and almost kind of picking a fight by saying it that way. Forgiving sins, Jesus is picking a fight. He's saying, watch this. Instead of me healing the guy right out, I'm gonna make a point about who I am. And so we really get a sense of that. But that groom section, I mean, we really could have spent a lot of time just on the idea of the reason why they're not fasting is because God has shown up.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to fast, and fasting is, the setting aside of our flesh, of our own desires to pursue the God that we're moving towards. So he's saying they don't have to fast to kind of refocus or to see God and to really commune with Him, because I'm sitting at the table with them, and so that's a very powerful statement. So it's not. I don't think anybody did. But I certainly wouldn't want it to be lost on people. Like, that's not Jesus just saying kind of some, simple little analogy or something. It's huge.
Yeah.
He's using Old Testament language to paint the picture of I am God, which was really the first section. The first bout, really, the first round between him and the religious people is to introduce himself as God. And what does he come here to do? Well, we really focused in on that statement that he came for sinners.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we mentioned that the tragedy of it is the religious guys are sinners as well. They're just on the other side of that coin, right? So we have licentiousness, but we also have, the sin of legalism and religion, on the other side. And so, self-righteousness versus a lack of righteousness, if that makes sense. Yes. And so you really have the real deep contrast. But you get Jesus right in the middle of it. Jesus is right in the middle of it. And it's not as if Jesus doesn't want to reach the religious guys, because you do see him do that. Certainly in other Gospels, they really spend a lot of time, talking about him and Nicodemus. The book of John really lays that conversation out in detail. And so he does. He wants both. He wants to reach both. So you find him right smack in the middle of it. But I think the groom talk and the old wineskin talk, like I very briefly covered, look, it's a comparison between the old covenant and the new covenant. So like if you go to places like the book of Hebrews, it's going to talk a lot about old covenant and new covenant. You go to book of Romans, it talks a lot about law versus grace. And so you get the contrast between those two ideas. Yeah. And that's what he's doing with the old wineskins. And there was just not enough time. Yeah. I guess we could have made 3 sermons out of it, or 4 sermons. Probably. But I really wanted it to set all together only because I wanted everybody to feel he's brought something new. Yeah. And that's what the religious guys don't like. Yeah. And so then in this past sermon, in part 7, it was all about the Sabbath. We see them in 2 separate moments. Yes. The moment where they're walking in the grain field, and then the moment where they're in church. They're at the synagogue, and the guy with the withered hand. And both of them have to do around the day of the Sabbath, or the day of the Lord, or the day that you're meant to give to God. Yes. And the religious people have created this whole nother set of, this is how you're supposed to do it. And Jesus goes, nah. Yeah. Jesus goes, no. Like, if you're wanting to really give your life to God, this is what it looks like. Yeah. It is about doing good. It makes no sense to make it a bogged down religious rule related day. That's the opposite of what God hoped for his people. That God led his people into the gift of Sabbath because God himself walked in Sabbath. Because did God need rest in the beginning? No, because he's God. We know other texts even talk about he doesn't sleep, nor does he slumber. Like God doesn't get tired. And so it's not God going, man, whew, the Grand Canyon was hard to create. I need to, I need to do something. Or, man, pouring all that water in the Atlantic. Whew, I'm just exhausted. Angels, we need to take a break. And then he stops. It's not that. But what he does is he shows us what is needed and what's important and how we're meant to be in a rhythm in life. Yeah. And making sure that in life you have a rhythm of, yes, we do everything for the glory of God. Book of Colossians, you work as unto the Lord. Mm-hmm. And so all your work, all the things that you're doing in life, you do for the glory of God, yes. But then a part of your life is to make sure that you have a space for Him. Yeah. Where you really focus in on Him and nothing else gets in the way, nothing else distracts. And yet the religious people, they don't like what Jesus is doing. But again, He's a new wineskin. Yes. So what they're trying to create from even the Old Testament books of the law, Jesus goes, nah, I don't really fit into that, and I'm trying to show you what this is really about. And oh, by the way, I own this day. And that's what, again, He's reiterating again that I am God, and this was my idea. Yeah. So I was a part of this idea, And so, but I think between the two, like if I was to sum up both sermons, it's us seeing our relationship with God, the Word of God, the law of God, if you will, but us not seeing it from the religious mindset. Yeah. And that's what Jesus is trying to do. That's what Jesus has come into the world to do, is to say, I'm going to come in and I'm going to fulfill the law so that you can see that it has never been about the law. Yeah. It has never been about a list of rules for you to follow, and if you don't, welcome to hell. It has never been about that. Yeah. It has always been leading up to this moment when God Himself was going to show up and live a perfect life. Yeah. Live it perfectly for us. Yeah. And then to offer up His righteousness on a cross, to die a death that we deserve to die for our disobedience and our inability to follow the law. And then He was going to die, but not stay dead, but rise, to bring newness of life. That's the book of Romans kind of sneaking in, right? Yeah. And so it has always been about that. Before the foundations of the world was laid down, was even thrown down and set in place, the Lamb was slain. What is He saying? This has always been the plan. Yeah. This has always been the plan, to have the law, to show us that we're broken and that we need Him. Yeah. And then for us to see Jesus as who He is, that He is God in the flesh, that He has come for sinners. That's part 6, right? He's come for sinners, those that are broken and those that are lost. I've come for them. And then now I've come to bring a new concept around the laws of God, that now all of a sudden the laws of God become sweet to the taste. Now all of a sudden the laws of God become the pathway by which He helps us to interact with God. So as we set aside our idols, you shall have no other idols before me. Yeah. That's a gift. God's inviting us into something big, into something great. It's not burdensome. Oh my God, I gotta, I better not have any idols, Oh, I have idols, so God's gonna kill me. No, you shouldn't relate to it that way. You should see it as, I have a pathway to worship God, to interact with Him. Yeah. This is incredible, right? You should interact with that law from that standpoint. But a religious mindset, religion won't let you do that. Yeah. Religion will want to bury you under the rules, and that's been the two sermons. Yeah. That's why it's Jesus versus religion, because religion wants to bury you under the rules. Yeah. And Jesus is, no, I've come that you may have life. Yeah. And that life more abundant. I've come to give you life. I've come to set you free. I've come to let you live above where I'm seated, right? I've come to give you grace and mercy to lift you up, because I've lived the law perfectly for you, because you can't. Yeah. And I've died the death that you deserve to die for breaking the laws of God. I did that for you so that now you don't have to live under the law, but you can live under grace, and you're covered by Him. And that's been the whole thing, because religion wants to bury you. Yeah, absolutely. Jesus wants to resurrect you. He wants to bring you alive in him. And that's been the whole purpose of it. And so that's what the religious guys don't like, is because they do. They want to press people down. Religion says, I want to press you down so that I can elevate myself.
Yeah.
And so I really had a struggle with it, because it was like there's so much there. So we could really pick on, those of us that have a tendency to lean towards the religious side of things. And we could say, cut that mess out. We can really lean towards the side of, man, what a gift the Word of God, the law of God really is, and we only see that because of Jesus. Like, we really could have just gone all different directions. And we had this conversation, like me, you, and Ryan, we had this conversation just the other day about what a struggle that was for me, because there's just so much good that is in that idea, and you just wanted to grab all of it and just go, Jesus is awesome, and just go, look at what he's done, for us. But he is very early on in the book of Mark, and I'll shut up after this. He is very early in the book of Mark going, religion won't work.
Yes.
That's what he's saying.
Yes.
That's these two parts. As he walks in and goes, yeah, put up your dukes, because I'm here, and religion won't work. It's busted.
Yeah.
It's old and busted, and I'm bringing something new into the world, and it's called grace through who I am. That's what I've come to do.
Yeah.
And I'm bringing medicine for the sick, and it's me. I'm bringing hope for the hopeless, and it's me.
Yeah.
I'm bringing grace for the oppressed, and it's me. And that's what. So I'm gonna blow up the religious world.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be done. And what's so fascinating, we didn't talk about it that much, really at all. By the time we get to the end of the text where we were, like after the moment with the withered hand guy, you have the crowds that start following him in droves, and you've got the religious guys already want to kill him.
Yep.
So they don't want to. It didn't even take that much for the religious guys to want to kill him. Let's just think about what's happening.
No.
He's healing people. Demon-possessed people are getting set free. Withered hands are growing. I mean, it is unbelievable. All of these amazing things are happening, and he's teaching with authority, and yet the religious guys already are plotting to kill him. And so you already see how intense religion does to you. To approach even Christianity religiously, you'll miss him.
Yeah.
You will miss Jesus altogether if you approach it from a religious mindset. That I'm just going to follow a religion. You'll miss him. And nobody is mildly amused in the text. Nobody's just mildly amused, like, oh, that Jesus, he's kind of a, that was cute, what he just did, and then they go on about their business. They're either running to him for whatever reason, for multiple reasons, and we'll see that as the text unfolds in chapter 3. They either run to him in droves or they want to kill him. Yeah. Nobody's in the middle. No. Nobody's kind of going, I can take him or leave him. Nobody's that way in the text at this point.
Yeah.
It is. This is who he is. And so, so the hope is that we'll open the next sermon with that concept, that's where everybody lands, and then you start seeing it unfold. The crowds think he's just the healer. Yeah. The demons know him as the Son of God, the Son of Man, and the religious guys think he's the devil, right? And so everybody's all over the map. So everybody has an extreme view of who he is. Yeah. Nobody is mildly amused. No one. And so, but it didn't take much for religion to want to kill Jesus. Yeah. And I think that's so true in our own hearts. Is that if we're not careful, religion will choke out our understanding of even who we're talking about. Yeah. We'll miss them all together, and that's a real shame that I think a lot of people struggle with. So anyway,
it's gonna be great.
I'm excited. Yeah.
Mark's already put me in my place.
We're gonna be at Mark 4 come part 9. Yeah. We'll be at Mark 4 already. Yeah. I mean, we're flying.
Yeah. So part 8.
Yeah, part 8, we're going to finish Mark 3.
And then part 9,
we're flying. We're flying.
Oh, it's so good.
This is going so fast.
It's so good, though. It's so good. Mark's such a... Yeah. I would say he has a candor of being very abrupt.
Yeah.
And here, this is what Jesus did. This is what's going on. This is what's happening. Not discrediting all the other gospels. What I'm saying, but Mark, it's definitely a faster. What you're saying, a fast pace, but then that whole breakdown of all this stuff. I'm excited. I think it's going to be awesome. I can't wait. So if you haven't caught the recent messages, you can go to our YouTube, Facebook page, or freedomlifechurch.net. Catch up, because I promise you we're going to keep going, and it's just going to be more awesome and exciting and just full of life.
Yeah.
And chastisement, I guess.
Chastisement. Well, if you listen to the last two sermons, just play the soundtrack from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to
As
say.
you're reading it,
Let's go.
It'll be great. So.
But we can't thank you guys enough, man, and just this journey that we're going on in the book of Mark, and we just hope that you continue to follow with us, man. We'll catch you guys all next week.
See you.